It's your Sergeant Major, everybody. Sergeant Major GRIZZLEGRITS. Look, friends, we're back out at Cedar Grove. Friends, it's really windy out here, and I didn't bring my little mic to clip on my grizzly beard, so I'm going to give you a little narration, and I'm going to get to work. Friends, we're back out at the Cedar Grove. It's out here in Lithia, Florida. We're doing more cemetery maintenance. Friends, we got the Confederate soldiers. I told you, the task at hand is to get all the headstones, all the soldiers' headstones, and all these little cemeteries around our community here in Hillsborough County, Florida, Brandon, Florida, Lithia, in that area. And friends, we're going to start with the most misunderstood generation of American veterans, friends, the Confederate veterans. So look, everybody, I got a Cross of Honor right here. Now, Miss Linnell threw a little paint on it the other day when we were out here, but I just, I wanted to come back and just, well, friends, it needs, I'm not knocking Miss Linnell, please. And these things are, they're old, friends. Friends, from what I understand, I did a little history today. Believe it or not, friends, my great-great-great-granddaddy, James Madison Burgess, was an infantryman in the Georgia 61st Infantry Brigade. And he was awarded one of these Cross of Honors, Confederate States Army. And friends, that's the battle flag right there. And I believe the daughters of the Confederate veterans back in 1900 were the ones that got these things approved by Congress, because a lot of them were awarded during the war of aggression, the Civil War, that some of y'all understand it as. But friends, the Confederate states didn't have the money to award it to everybody, so eventually they got it down the road. So what we're simply doing today is we took it off, and friends, I got to go buy some hardware. Those were so old they broke, and I got one more cross over yonder. And friends, somebody actually welded the nuts on the back. I guess a lot of y'all knuckleheads like to come around and steal these things. And there's my man over there getting the job done in the tractor. There's a tree that fell down, so he's out there getting that tree all squared away for everyone here at the cemetery. So look, everybody, without further ado, I'm gonna get to work here. So again, what we're doing is, friends, I wanted to pull it off the spike, and that thing's in the ground. I mean, friends, I guess a lot of y'all come around to steal these things, and that's very, very disrespectful. Again, friends, we're out here honoring all the veterans. There's a lot to be learned about this period of our history here. And these were Americans, everyone. They were just on one side of that conflict, but they were all Americans. We're not here to litigate it, friends. I'm here to get the job done. So friends, here's what we're going to do. I wanted to take it off because I'm going to give it a little scrubbing, get any debris off. We're going to put a coat of primer on it, and then we're going to spray paint it the nice metallic, because that's what Miss Linnell says a lot of the families like. Friends, this thing is heavy duty. I think it's made out of iron. 1861, 1865. I have no idea what that says there. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it, friends. But isn't this beautiful? Friends, this is history. Friends, this thing has a lot of weight to it. This ain't nothing you're gonna get from China. No Chinese garbage. I think this is cast iron, and this is pretty stinking heavy duty. But everybody, I wanted to take it off the stand so we could properly do the maintenance on it, and then we could spray paint it. And I don't want to spray, it's a windy day. I'm going to have to take it over in the field and do it. Friends, I don't want spray paint to get all over the headstones. Does that make sense? I know it does. So friends, we're going to very lightly, with a metal brush. Friends, we can use metal on this. It's iron. So we're just going to clean it up and get all the debris. And you're going to get all in the corners, pockets. And look, we're going to do a nice coat of primer on it. That way, when we put the silver, the metallic, it'll hopefully last a little longer. So this looks like there was a mold, probably made out of clay, and then they put the cast iron in it. Gee, I think everybody, 1900. This is heavy. I told you, it's heavy duty, and you can see see where the cast was, and this thing's been painted before. Just getting all the loose debris. I don't think these things rust. I mean, it's cast iron, friends. This is like heavy duty. So we just want to get all the any yuck that's on it. Friends, my great granddaddy, James Madison Burgess, was awarded one of these, and he has one at his grave. And believe it or not, we're gonna take a trip up there. I don't know, maybe in a couple weeks. We're gonna take a weekend trip because everybody, his headstone needs a good cleaning too. And it would be so disrespectful that I don't go clean great granddaddy James Madison Burgess's headstone, friends. That's my family. So we're gonna take a trip up to Georgia. It'll be a lot of fun. I get to teach the children about history. Because friends, I love history, and my children are gonna learn all about history, the proper history, not the AI Google history, not the whatever y'all get your history from. Friends, I love nothing more than going to old garage sales and finding old books, friends. I mean, old books with the big books with all the photos and the pictures. Now look, everyone, I got to go to the hardware store because these two things broke when I tried to take it off. And the one over there is actually welded on. And I kind of understand why they did that. Because a lot of y'all right come back and try to vandalize this. Or friends, I just had another thought. Maybe I'll have to look this up. You know, in World War II, a lot of the iron and metal was scooped up for the war effort. I'm certain a lot of these soldiers had their headstones scooped up. But not that one over there. It's literally welded to the stake that goes in the ground, probably 5 feet. Because friends, I try to just gingerly pull it out of the ground. I couldn't do it. That thing's in there. Again, everybody, our task with the Grizzly Army and our cemetery maintenance division, our task for the next 3 months, we're going to make an effort to go to every cemetery where there's Confederate soldiers, and we're going to get their headstones clean. If they got the nice the Cross of Honor, we're going to do our best to rejuvenate it, you know. All right. That looks pretty good. All right. So I got some primer here. Dries in 25 minutes or less. So we'll spray it on, then we'll go. Well, friends, that other one's it's welded on. I'm not going to be able to get it out. I'm just going to have to mask up the headstone. I don't want to get no paint on anything. Friends, when you're dealing with paint, you got to shake it up real good, friends. Like 2 minutes. Friends, when you brush your teeth, you better hit the top and the bottom. 2 minutes on the top and 2 minutes on the bottom, friends. I wrote a song about it last year. Go watch it. Friends, I sprayed the weed killer, the Roundup, last week out here, and everything's, all the weeds are, well, I told you, friends, they're all dying. They didn't stand a chance. Okay. Let's do it like this, because I don't want the wind. I wish I could just take this home and put it in my little paint booth. I tell you what, we may just move. I just don't want. Let's look at this. The nice primer will fill in any of these little holes. That way, when we put the, you know. Think here, just you want to hit all the angles here. I'm just trying not to let the wind blow it on the headstones, but they're a ways away. we got to get the other side. So the primer's going to fill in the little holes and crevices, and there's quite a few. And it'll make it look a little better. And it helps the paint bind. It binds to the primer. Nice and even. Friends, my father taught me how to paint. He was a handyman for sure. And believe it or not, there's a trick to these cans so you don't get the runs. Not the runs like the IPS runs, like the runs in your paint. All right. Got a piece of debris that just landed in there. Well, we'll hit all these sides and then, oh yeah, we gotta get right here. So Miss Linnell told me sometimes they paint them black, but sometimes they like them silver. Because I'm sure the original award is probably silver, like most military awards we get. All right, so we're gonna let that one sit for a little while. Now we got this other one over here, everybody, and we gotta need this piece of cardboard. Let's do it like this. Oh yeah, you turn it in the light and you see areas that you missed. Friends, isn't this cool? We're literally preserving history in our backyard, friends, and we don't have to ask anybody's permission, everyone, because we're doing it out of love and respect. All right, friends, look, I need the cardboard because we got to go do this to that one over yonder. I'm going to very gingerly set it right here to dry in the sun. And friends, we'll give it like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. We'll come back and we'll hit the other side. And then we got to do the silver. So friends, y'all come on with your Sergeant Major. Look, everybody, we cleaned these headstones up it was over 2 weeks ago. This one here was black. Mr. Enoch Johnson, private. Friends, a lot of privates out here. And over here, this was Reverend J.W. Johnson. Now, he was the reverend. He was the preacher at this church. This is a newer building. I mean, it's built probably in the 50s, but this man was out here in 1915. That's when he died. He was the preacher, and he was also a soldier in the Confederate Army. So look, everyone, this one over here is going to be a little challenging. We just got to be a little more careful. It's interesting. They literally welded the and I understand probably why they did it. So they got these two bolts on here, on this there's two nuts on a bolt, and they welded it. Because I would imagine back then, maybe someone would vandalize, or maybe during World War II when they needed all the iron and all the metal for the war drive. I'm just guessing, friends. That would make sense to me. This would be like the first people they'd come after. So here's what we're gonna do. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a towel and some other items so we don't make a mess. All right, here we are. I don't want no overspray on anyone's headstone. Isn't that interesting, everyone? Come down here and look at this. Like, they literally... they got it tack welded on there so someone couldn't come steal it and do the vandalism, which I think is pretty cool. Cool, cool, cool. So look, everybody, we're gonna do a real good job. Mr. Carpenter here. We don't want no overspray. I can't get it out, and I'm not even gonna try it because you know they wanted it not to come out. Let's see if y'all can see it better this way. So look, everybody, when I first came out to this cemetery, it was 2 years ago. I was doing a spiritual drive. I was going through my own little nightmare. You know, Jesus told me to get in my truck and drive, and I did, friends. I just drove and I drove. And I never knew this cemetery was here. And I've lived in this area the better part of my whole life. I came out here, and the place they had been mowing it. But the weeds were so tall, it hadn't been weed whacked or weed sprayed in a very long time. Jesus told me, my son, I give you a new job. This is going to help you with your depression and all the things that are going on. And it most certainly did, everybody. And I came out here the next day with my weed whacker, and I literally just started weed whacking with nobody's permission. All right, like this. Friends, we call this field expedient. Because I'm in the field, and I can't just run back to the headquarters and talk to the supply daddy. I got to get the job done with the tools that I have, and we're going to do that. We're going to do it, most certainly. Okay, just don't want no spray. Okay, we'll be very careful. So again, we're going to give it a good little scrub with the... Now, friends, this is the metal brush. We only use the metal in the metal. We don't ever use this on any headstones. That could damage it. But we're just trying to get any yuck, any debris. And it also preps it for the primer. I mean, really, you'd want to sandblast this and then get all the paint and all the whatever off, the impurities. And you probably want to powder coat it. But friends, I don't have that kind of resource right now. It's called field expedient, friends. So again, everybody, the task is we want to get every one of these. Oh, hold on, friends, I got ants. What was the rule, friends? The rule is you got to check your AO before you plop down. All right, I think I'm good. The other day, I sat down and I started cleaning, and I was literally had my boot in an ant pile. But they didn't get me, friends. They didn't get me. Okay, and the wind's blowing this way, so I should be good. Oh. Can everybody see what we're doing here? So friends, the first time I came out here, I saw these crosses, and again, I hadn't had my history lesson, and I didn't realize that great-great-granddaddy Burgess was a relative. And I saw these and I said, my goodness, that is so interesting. What the heck is that? And then I said, well, I could see the Confederate flag, and I didn't even know that was the battle flag back then. I told you, friends, we got to get educated on the history. There's so much history that a lot of us just maybe we were not told the truth or we were tricked. Because, friends, I'm a psychology guy for the last time. I know there's a lot of reasons to to hide things from a lot of us. All right, friends, we're gonna hit it with a primer, and then we gotta go put the primer the other side of the other one over yonder. Okay. Okay, we're looking pretty good. Okay. I'm just double checking. I don't want no overspray to hit nothing here. I'll get better at this. I'll bring some cloths next time. All right, here we go. Stir it up here. Again, everybody, the primer is going to help protect the metal, and it's also going to fill in any little holes. So when we hit it with the silver, the metallic, hopefully it'll look like brand new. Just little quick bursts, friends. You don't want to go too much, because then you'll get a run. And then you'll have to sand it down and it won't work. I should have a mask, huh? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Cancer? I was out here with the Roundup the other day. Ugh. So friends, I told you the plan is we're gonna hit all the Confederate soldiers in Hillsborough County that we can get our hands on. Their graves. Every one of these crosses of honor we're gonna restore. And as we do that, we're gonna clean all the graves. I want all the veterans in all these little cemeteries that Hillsborough County's forgotten about. The government, friends. Friends, again, Hillsborough County is like one of the worst counties in the country, down here in Florida. And their Veterans Council don't do nothing. Friends, they don't do nothing. I had a protest at the Hillsborough County Veterans Park last November when Mr. HK, friends, y'all know who HK is. HK is my good friend. He's off with Jesus now. But friends, the horrible Hillsborough County government and the horrible Veterans Memorial Park and all their incompetent leaders there, well, friends, they removed Mr. HK because he was out there honoring the heritage. It's horrible, friends. And I was literally standing right there when it happened. And the rest is history, everybody. And then you got me protesting y'all perversions for, I don't know, like 2 weeks, a month. I just couldn't stand it. I just couldn't stand it. A black Vietnam veteran you're going to kick out of a memorial park because you just don't like and agree with his politics, friends. Is that America? I didn't think so either. That's why I had to go out there and protest. And friends, thank y'all for those of y'all that came out. We had a riot, friends. We certainly did. We had our firearms and our guns and our ammo, and it was so much fun, friends. It was almost like the South was rising up again. I had the best time of my life. But friends, the Veterans Council don't ever get none of this crap done. They don't ever come out here and clean the headstones. And I caught some of these diversity and inclusion veteran ladies. Friends, hold on. No, you're not really, if you're going to hold all the goodies for yourself and you're just going to take care of people that look like you and vote like you, well, friends, you're not a veteran. You're a diversity hire, a soldier. They had like the gay black lady meeting like every day there. And I came in there with a camera one day and they said they were going to call the police on me. I said, go ahead, lady. You go ahead and call the police. I was waiting outside. And I did, friends. And they never came. Wow, this one's looking really, really good, too. Now, friends, you want to get all the little crevices. Because again, this is going to protect the metal. So it don't... Friends, I don't think it's going to rust. Does this stuff rust? I mean, this thing's like... thing's over 100 years old, and it looks really, really good. My goodness. Friends, I'm impressed with my own work. But I told you, the Lord Jesus bestowed the gift of art on me. All right, let's go over here and hit that other one up. Wow, that does look really good. And no overspray. Okay, let's roll. First, I'm gonna tell you a little secret about me. It's not really a secret. Friends, I graduated high school in 1998. This is before 9/11. Friends, my goal, what I really wanted to do was, I wanted to go to Hollywood. I know, friends, I know. We didn't know how bad they were until recently. Friends, I wanted to go to Hollywood and be a special effects guy. I wanted to, you know, do special effects for all the movies. But now I get to clean cemeteries up, everyone, and use those talents that the Lord gave me, not for no evil or perversions. Good Lord Jesus. Can you imagine if I had wound up in Hollywood, friends? Oh, I know they would have kicked me out of there just like the Department of Veteran Affairs did. They would have said, sayonara. All right, let's hit this other side. And I got to go get some hardware so we can put that back on. I didn't realize they were going to break. All right, here we go. Again, friends, primer, Premier from the Ace Hardware. I told that lady what I was doing, and she almost started crying. And I said, ma'am, you save those tears for the cemetery. I need your butt out there. And she started shaking her head. Friends, that's how you build the Grizzly Army, you know. I've been waiting. Friends. And I've been asking Jesus, why? How come nobody wants to come out and help? Nobody cares about what we're doing. Well, friends, it's all about timing. Everything's about timing. It has to be the Lord's time, not our time. If I had not been at the Veterans Park, hold on. Friends, I'm gonna tell you another little secret. Friends, I didn't even want to go to the Veterans Park that day. I told my wife, you just go ahead and go. I don't want to go. I don't like those days. It's just gonna be a bunch of nonsense and diversity and DEI. It certainly, friends, it didn't disappoint. But friends, if I had not gone out there that day, I would have never met Mr. HK, and I would have never been reunited with my heritage and my great-great-great-granddaddy. I would have never met Miss Liddell. She would have never taught me how to do this stuff. And friends, I'd be at home playing Call of Duty right now. I told you, the Lord Jesus is so mysterious. Now, friends, we're going to be very generous with the primer on here. I'm trying to fill in all these little holes. So when we put the paint on here, it'll look like an award that just got off the factory, the assembly line, the smelting plant. I tell you, sometimes I'm literally impressed by my own work. And I'm a very humble man, friends. That's hard to do sometimes. Okay. Look, I hope everyone's Monday morning is going well. Again, everybody, you better be working on your homework fast. Your homework was to go find you a little cemetery in your neck of the woods. Friends, you don't need any permission to come out here. But if you get permission, it's even better. I like to flirt around with trouble, friends, because I know I'm doing the Lord's work. So I dare someone to come out here and get on to me. That I'm just gonna, well, I told you I have many duties. And exposing fraud, waste, and abuse and perversions is just one of the ones I like the most. All right, look, we're gonna go hit the primer. I'll give it about 5 more minutes over there. I mean, the stuff's already dry to the touch, but you don't want to put wet you don't want to put a coat of paint on something that's still it's curing, friends. That's what it's doing. It's acrylic. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give it 5 more minutes, and we'll just take a walk around the nice little cemetery here. Who's that? Who's in the comments here? I can't read. My cheaters. Don't huff that stuff. Oh my gosh. Well, the wind's blowing pretty good. And I've huffed enough stuff in my life, you know, with all the wars and all the open burn pits. Look, friends, I got Mr. William Milley right here. Confederate States Army. He was born February the 4th, 1832. And he was laid to rest right here where I'm standing on top of him, December the 31st of the year 1923, friends. Over 103 years ago. And we need to come out, friends, that's why I need a work party. I mean, there's only so much stuff I can do. I'm just trying to get some of the main stuff. But I want to get this straight. I want to get dress right dress. Wouldn't that be cool? And then we got his brother. Maybe they were, hold on now. This is the younger brother. William J. Milley and William C. Milley. Oh my gosh, friends. Friends, can you imagine being these private sergeant? Hey, Milley, get your butt over here. And then 2 of them show up. No, William Milley. No, William C. Milley. G. All right, friends, right here we got Mr. James Milley. My goodness, was it? Oh, three brothers. I wonder how come he doesn't have a headstone like his 2 brothers there. So, friends, Miss Linnell, we came out here, and she has a list of where everybody's at. Miss Linnell McAllister. She's I think she's a part of the Daughters of the Confederate Veterans. She's the one that was Mr. HK's caregiver. And when I met her that day, my life changed, you know. We got Mr. Enoch Johnson. Now this one was real nice. This headstone right here looked like this headstone when we found it. It was just nasty. And this is where she taught me about that D2. We sprayed it, we scrubbed it, and then, you know, a couple weeks later, it's still working. It's just cleaning it. So Mr. Enoch Johnson, private, Confederate States Army, Bravo, Company Bravo, 1st Florida Cow Calf. So, friends, what we learned, and Mr. Dave McAllister, he's like a historian. When we go out to these cemeteries, I give him the microphone and I just record him. He has a wealth of knowledge. He's a lawyer, and he was the man that helped. Friends, if you're down here in the Tampa Bay area, over there on I-75, where I-75 and I-4, the intersection junction, there's a huge battle flag that's raised. I mean, this thing's huge. It's, I don't know, 50 feet. And he was one of the lawyers that helped get that going. And it needs to, friends. That is a part of history. That is not hate. It's not none of that nonsense. And the more you learn, if you have an open heart and open mind and you want to learn about this stuff, well, you're going to learn. If you're, you know, not a dim-witted person, you know, want to call people the N-word when we're out here just trying to clean up cemeteries. And that did happen, friends. Milton Johnson. Hold on now. So I got Enoch Johnson and Milton Johnson. I bet you these were brothers, friends. I bet you they were all from this area. Probably got scooped up, you know. I mean, 2nd Lieutenant. Company Bravo, 1st Florida Cow. So, friends, what Mr. McAllister taught us the other day, the cow cavalry, they had to feed the soldiers. So I think the trains were all, the rail lines were all blown up. So they literally had battalions or companies that would bring the cattle so they could feed the soldiers. And I think the cattle, I think it came from Texas, friends. That's because, you know, the Union, from what I learned, they had stolen a lot of the cattle to feed their army. All right, I think we can go put the code over there. So, friends, out here, again, we're at Cedar Grove. And I believe there's 7 Confederate soldiers buried out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I know there's one over there, 7. Let's go see who's over here. I want the primer to cure, so it looks nice, everybody. Again, friends, if you're in the area, reach out. If you like what you're watching on the YouTube, subscribe to the channel. I could use it. I don't have a lot of subscribers, you know. I had about 460 subscribers when I did the Sergeant GRIZZLEGRITS. But I told you, they didn't like the diversity, equity, inclusion, and I was going after it, friends. So they removed my channels. Private Mitchell Hagen. Private company, 18th Florida Infantry. Interesting. History, friends. You gotta know your history. And if we don't come out here, hold on, turn this around. Friends, if you and I don't come out here, if we don't come out here and get this job done, it ain't ever gonna get done. Because again, friends, we live in a county, and I'm certain a lot of y'all live in other counties, because everything's watered down nowadays. I think that's my sheriff. Hey, I'm down here, Sergeant Major GRIZZLEGRITS. I'm right here. Y'all don't got the tracking device on me any longer. All the court crap got tossed out. I hope the pilot's not a DEI hire. My goodness, you just never know. Friends, if we don't come out here and get this job done, it'll never get done. Because the people that have the jobs, you know, the county commissioners, the sloppy drill sergeants, Frank Strum, the fake phony Marine, Patrick. Friends, if we wait on these people to come out of the AC, their nice cushy government jobs, and do the job that we hired them to do. Friends, I'm talking the Veterans Council in Hillsborough County. It don't do nothing, friends. They were all there that day that HK was kicked out of that event, and nobody did. Friends, I didn't even do nothing. I was terrified, friends, because I told you, this sheriff don't like me. And friends, I thought they were out to get me that day. But they weren't. They weren't coming after me, the combat veteran from Afghanistan. No. They were doing bully tactics on a geriatric Vietnam veteran. I couldn't believe it, friends. It really broke my heart. But it opened my eyes, too. Okay, look, I need to borrow. Okay, yeah, that's still drying. Okay, friends, I know, I hate getting on here and just complaining, but I'm trying to inform y'all. Hillsborough County is like one of the largest counties in Florida. They have a lot of money. A lot of money comes down here. And they do have a very beautiful park over off 301. That's where we did our peaceful protesting. But when we spent a little time over there, we found out that it's run by diversity, equity, inclusion. It's not run by veterans. A bunch of gay black ladies that cruise around and got their 100% in their nice Mercedes. And then when I asked some questions, I had the cops called on. Popo. How come those ladies aren't out here helping us get these cemeteries cleaned up? I mean, that's their job, right? Veteran Council. Oh, no, can't do that. They got their 100%. They got their money. So they don't care about the rest of us. Friends, I've been 100% disabled since like 2019. I didn't go buy me a brand new car. I was still working the job. Okay, friends, enough complaining. Let's get back to work here. But what I'm trying to say is, if we veterans and patriots and supporters of veterans and lovers of history and lovers of preserving cemeteries, if we don't get out here and do it, friends, it'll never get done. And then at some point, these older, you hear the man on the tractor over there, at some point they will be too old to continue to do it. And then it won't get done. And then your history's gone, friends. There's my friend right there. Hey. Come on out, friends. I'll teach you how to drive it. Now that's a John Deere tractor. That's my friend over there. He lives on the property, and he's just so thrilled that people like us want to come out and get the job done. Friends, it don't cost a lot of money to do these things. I mean, this was like $6, $7. Oh, the metallic was like $8. And look, if you don't live in the area or you're not able-bodied, but you got a little funds, friends, send me a donation. I have a 501c3. I'm tax exempt. It's the Grizzly Army Ministries Incorporated. I got a lot of plans, you know, and I was going to use my lawsuit, friends. Y'all know I have a lawsuit with the Department of Veteran Affairs. Unlike the Veterans Council here in Hillsborough County with all these DEI people, they're not veterans, friends. Veterans don't behave the way that I witnessed. Unlike these demons, when I get the big money, friends, I ain't gonna just go buy me a bunch of toys. I am gonna buy the Up Armor Humvee. That is true, friends. I'm gonna have an Up Armor Humvee, Chad Chronister. Friends, I'm gonna put a lot of that money in the ministry here. I want to get shirts for us, some volunteer shirts. I'm gonna get stickers. I'm gonna get a manner of swag, Grizzly Army swag. And friends, I'm gonna have a whole warehouse of that D2, friends. I told you, I'm just gonna buy it all. All right, friends, enough jibber jabber. Let's make sure, friends, when you do this, and you got to spray paint in place, friends. It's called in place. And we've let this primer cure for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, so we're good to go. I'm gonna hit it with a metallic, friends. It's gonna give it a nice, like nice metal. Probably the way the award looks when it was worn on these men back in the day. So, friends, we want to make sure that everything is masked off. I don't want no. If there's just a little area right here, I can get overspray, and you'll see it. All right, everybody. Last couple shakes. And friends, before you start spraying on your the area, you always want to hit on a. You want to make sure that the paint's coming out. So we're just gonna do a little test right here. All right, we're good. Okay, y'all ready? All right, everybody, here we go. Oh wow, that looks nice. That looks sharp. Hold on. Got that wind blowing in my face. Just little bursts, friends. You don't want to just spray it. You'll get the runs. And then we'll have a real problem. You'll be in front of the sergeant major. You'll be in my office, and I'll be dressing your butt down. Oh yeah, this is nice. Again, friends, I was never a real sergeant major. I just played one on TV and on YouTube. I was a sergeant first class when I retired, and I am a combat veteran soldier. I was in Afghanistan, 2 different tours, everybody. In that first tour, I was an E5 sergeant, and that's the one we had all the action. And that typically is how it goes. You know, when you're higher ranking, they keep you at the base. You got all the other duties to do. So it's usually the younger soldiers that get to go do all the fun stuff. All right, we'll make sure I'm not missing nothing here. Now you want to kind of walk around and make sure you're not, you know, missing any angles. Friends, you think my great granddaddy James Madison Burgess would be proud of his great grandson? I think so. My family used to talk about these things, but then when Granny and Papa passed on to heaven, we just kind of, nobody kept the stories going. But Granny and Papa took us, oh, friends, y'all probably can't hear me, I know it's a little windy. They used to take us up to Stone Mountain, everybody. And my grandparents never taught hate. They just said, wow, that was a very challenging part of our history as a country. And they were very patriotic. All right, everybody, the big reveal. Wowie, wowie. Tell you what we're gonna do, everyone. Put the flag over here if I can. Let's just let it crap in the ground. What do you think, everybody? I think it looks pretty good. Let's take a closer look. everybody, this should look good for the next 10 years or so, you know, at least 5. We'll come out and touch it up if we need to. Now this one over here, I got to go get some hardware for it. So let's roll back over here. Then I'm going to dismiss y'all for a little while. So I can't have y'all just watching all my videos all day. I need y'all to get out in the stinking cemeteries. You need to create your own YouTube channel. You need to pray to Jesus. If you don't have that purpose and meaning in life and you're looking and longing for it, friends, you just need to start having that talk with the Lord. And truly, friends, he will provide it to you. He most certainly will provide it to you. Oh my gosh, friends, that thing looks like, hold on. Friends, that thing is gleaming in the sun from all the way over here. That's cool. Look, everybody, anybody can do a YouTube channel, you know? I don't have any pointers for you because, I mean, I got like, what, 160 subscribers? I'm so thrilled. But again, I don't do it for that kind of stuff, you know? I do it because it helps me mentally. Friends, this stuff is therapeutic. You know, you come out here and start doing this type of work, you're gonna go home, friends. You're gonna go home at night, and you're gonna be exhausted. You're gonna be tired. Uh-oh. Well, it wasn't a good idea, but we're in the field, everybody, like I told you. Friends, I got home last night. I could barely. So here's the thing. When I get home after doing the live streams in the cemeteries, well, friends, I got to do a lot of social media stuff because I can't just come out here and be goofy with y'all. I have to literally go back and do a lot of editing, so y'all can have those funny shorts that I like to do with all the sound effects that some of y'all don't care for. But I don't really seek and care. I love them. So, friends, that doesn't leave a lot of time for the children, but we still got the prayers knocked out last night. Let's do it like this. But friends, all you need a phone, you need a YouTube channel. You got to get like 50 subscribers before you can do the live streams out in the field like I'm doing, you know. But that don't take long, everybody. Especially if you're doing this kind of stuff. Hell, I'll subscribe to your channel. Now that I'm doing this, friends, I got like, the algorithms are starting to send all the other folks that does this type of stuff, and I love it. I'm learning other ways that I could do these things a little better. What I want to, when I start getting some funds, I want to start doing the headstone leveling. I mean, the cemetery ain't that bad, but there's some headstones that over time they start sinking in the ground, and they need to be pulled up. You got to clean out the hole. You got to put gravel, friends. You don't put dirt back in there. You don't put loose dirt back in a hole. I learned that this morning. And then you level it. And some of these, they need the masonry work. You got to kind of do the masonry to glue the headstones back together when they've been vandalized, or a tree or something hit them. And here's something else, everybody. We need American flags. I need, friends, if you see those American flags over yonder, I put those out there last year. And I didn't have a lot of money, you know. I just had just a little bit. And this was my first cemetery. That's why it's a lot of sentimental out here. Friends, I did a lot of crying mourning sessions with Jesus out here. When I was like, Lord, why is this happening to me? Why are you allowing all the devil to come after me? But friends, it was my humbling. I'm convinced Jesus wanted me to feel some of the pain and sorrow that some of y'all have to go through. You know, we're human, friends. That's like, friends, I'm sorry it's so windy. I know the wind's disturbing the audio. But friends, that pain and suffering, it's a part of life, you know, and that's where we gotta lean into Jesus. He's gonna get us through it, friends, and he most certainly got me through a lot of them. All right, let's get the paint on here. And then it's gonna be lunchtime, everybody. I'm getting hungry. So we're gonna go 1 or 2 times all the way up and down. And friends, you want to turn it. That way you can hit the other side, up and down. Turn it again. But be careful. I don't want to get this debris. I mean, this is my workbench. It's an old stump, an old tree stump. Because it's field expedient, friends. We're in the field. Now we're going to hit the sides. I can't believe how good that looks from over here, friends. I'm just blown away. Pick it up and turn it. Friends, those Union soldiers don't have no cool crosses like this, you know. They don't. I hate to be that way, friends. This is the only way we can be, is truthful. Very generous. Put a very generous coat, friends. This is about honor. It's about history. It's about preservation. And friends, I gotta run to the hardware store to get I gotta get something that'll put that back on there, because I did try to take these off because they were not welded on and they were so old they just broke. Ow, 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 ow. So look, friends, here's what we're gonna do. I gotta run to the hardware store. I need to let that cure for a little while. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna give that about 5-10 minutes, and we're gonna hit the other side, and then I'll run to the hardware store. But again, everybody, you know, if you're going, hold on now. Friends, if you're going through a little struggles in your life, if you got a little depression, a little anxiety, friends, I get it, I understand it. There was a time not that long ago in my drinking days, I was depressed every day, everybody, every day. I had like no meaning, no purpose. I had a job. I mean, I was a father. I was still in the National Guard. I was a platoon sergeant. I was depressed. I was longing for something. I was never satisfied. And friends, I've shared my alcohol story with y'all many times. You know, that's true. I suffered tremendously, like a lot of us have, and probably still do. And friends, I hated it. I was a peer support specialist in the VA, and I was dealing with veterans that were, oh, who the hell's calling me now? Oh, more spam, friends. Friends, I was a certified peer support specialist with the Tampa VA and the Bay Pines VA. But I was still drinking, friends. I was still going to work hungover and just faking it, you know? And I feel really bad because I wasn't being honest with my veterans at the time. But I was suffering, everybody. And I didn't quite need to go get help. I mean, maybe I did. I was what you call a functional alcoholic. And friends, when I was working at Bay Pines at the voluntary service, that's when I begged Jesus to take the alcohol from me, and he most certainly did. And then I thought everything was going to be groovy. I said, wow, you know, I'm sober. But friends, I didn't quite realize I was sober until like 6 months after I didn't even have the urge. You know, the first week I'm like, okay, I've done a week without drinking, okay. And then a month went by, and I'm like, okay, I'm this is weird. I like it. This is new. And then, friends, 3 months go by, and my wife's like, you know, I noticed you hadn't drank in like 3 months. Are you okay? And I'm like, well, yeah, I feel great. Friends, in 6 months, my mother took notice. She goes, how'd you do it? I said, well, no secret to it. I just begged Jesus. And that's true, friend. That's all I did was just beg Jesus to just take it from me. And it was overnight, everybody. And then, friends, a year, when I was creeping up on my year, I had the opportunity to go to the Army-Navy game with my stepfather, who's a Navy veteran. It was his dream to have all his sons, you know, his two sons and his two stepsons, my brother and I, to go. And friends, I forced myself to go. I didn't want to go. I don't really care for football, and you know, I wanted to spend time with my brother. And friends, here's the sad reality. That was the last time I ever spoke to my brother. But it was just a drunk fest for these folks, you know, and I thought it was going to be hard. And I thought, well, maybe if I get drunk with my brother, he'll like me, and well, we could have a relationship. But friends, I didn't. Jesus told me to stay away from it, and I did. And I guess they got a problem with me because I'm sober. I don't know, friends. It's in the Lord's hands. I pray for them all the time. But all I know is during that game, I watched how all these relatives of mine, my brothers, my stepfather, I watched how everyone behaved drunkardly, and I was ashamed for all the times that I behaved the way they did. But that was the big test, everyone. I passed it. Friends, now we're creeping up on three and a half years. Friends, I don't count. I don't count the days of sobriety. I know some of us have to, and that's good. I don't have to, friends. It's a miracle, you know? And people ask me, how'd you do it? I said, well, it ain't complicated. I just asked Jesus to do all the work. And he did, friends. He did all the work. Jesus went to all the meetings for me. Jesus went to jail. He did all the DU. He did everything for me, friends. And he just let me be sober overnight. He did everything on that cross. So I can only see it fitting to give back, to come out here, share my testimony with y'all, share a little bit about the gospel as I'm learning it, friends. I'm learning it just like we all are. And it really feels good to get out here and do this type of stuff. Look, friends, we're going to go in a minute. So I do got to go to the hardware store. She's down the road. We sprayed all the weed killer, and it's killing it. But there's still some areas that maybe it didn't get on the way it needed to. But look, friends, I'm not messing with the Agent Orange anymore. The Spectracide. I'm not messing the Roundup. We're gonna do the all natural. Little Lukey called me today. Uh-oh. Oh, this is new. This is a new nick. Friends, I have not nicked one headstone. I just don't do it. I'm pretty good on that John Deere. All right, friends, we're gonna roll. I gotta roll, friends. I gotta go to the hardware store. I gotta go get 2 little nuts and bolts to put the other cross back on. And then I'm gonna mosey on over to Pleasant Grove, and we're gonna do the same thing over there, because there's one of the cross of honors out there, friends. But does that not look sharp, or does that not look sharp? So again, friends, I need some donations. If you can do it, friends. I know times are tough, and I know the Trumpster promised us a lot of things, but he's a man and he's fallen and perverted like all the rest of us. But if you can spare a buck or two, friends, go over to that website, grizzlyarmy.com. There's a pay link, friends. It's just too easy. Donate to the cemetery maintenance fund. I need the funds for the D2, friends. That's really what I need the funds for. And if there's anything left over, you know, we'll throw some funds towards putting community work parties together. Again, I'd love to give y'all some nice shirts. I'd love to put a starter kit together for some of y'all at some point. But it's a limitation of funds, everybody. So look, friends, I gotta scram. So y'all be groovy now. And you better find yourself a little project like this, friends. Don't make me come find you, friends. And friends, for the last sneaking time, friends. Friends, if I catch anybody, I mean absolutely anybody, any one of y'all, coming out of one of my cemeteries and doing some kind of demonic, unclean spirit seances. Well, friends, I told you, there's many holes out here, and I have many duties, friends. And I might just slip you down the hole right over yonder, friends. I'm just going to slip you right on down in here. So you better stop all that perverted stuff, friends. Or I'm just going to have to slip you right down on in here. Y'all get down in there, you perverted demons. Grizzle 6 out.